Baby, don't mess around. Find a path to follow. Baby, don't mess around.
Hi, Amanda.
Hi.
Thanks so much for welcoming me into a beautiful studio to have a chat today.
Yay.
I appreciate it. You're an incredible costume designer that has worked all over the world, and now you live in Belgium. And I want to know, how did you end up in Bello?
It was my family that brought us here, really. I found it hard, like, doing the family thing in Melbourne, which is where I've, like, pretty much always lived. It was just so busy, and I was working so much, and I started visiting Bello to see my brother and his wife, and every time I was here, I was like, oh, this place, it's amazing, and unlike anywhere that I've ever been before. So, yeah, I just kind of kept migrating, and then going back to Melbourne, and then coming back, and then when my son was like ready for school, we decided to just commit and just be here. Yeah, so it's almost 9 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's incredible what you do. There's so many colourful elements to your career, and Belgium being this tiny rural little town, and then just seeing your little slice of colour to this place is absolutely amazing. And when I met you, and you know, people say, oh man, she's a costume designer, like, you're so much more than just that label. And what grabbed me the most is that you love to create an experience. I feel like that. Can you tell me a little bit more about this? What does that mean to you?
So within my design style and my background in theatre and Australian circus, I really was like, I was mentored by some incredible performance directors and artists. They taught me about storytelling and the traditions in storytelling, and how, you know, essentially when we're making theatre or events, and, you know, to an extent in film, we're really trying to evoke, we're really spell casting on the audience. We're telling someone's story, and once I really dropped into that space as a designer, I've never left it.
Wow.
Yeah, you can create magic from these places, and characters are really important. But it all comes down to storytelling. So even if it's just a one-off event, it's still like, what story are we telling? Whose story is it? You know, what's the social and emotional of this character, or how far do we want to take this, is something I say to a lot of artists that I dress.
That's amazing. And there's been times where you have organised the event and also dressed the characters and done everything, so multi-level storytelling.
Well, I've been doing this for 20-something years, and I feel like I'm now an elder in what I do because of my experience. Like, it's hard to even put it down on paper. It sounds like intense when you look at it. So even photographically, I've thought about having an exhibition of my work over the last 20 years, and there's a story in that. You know, I draw on my own life, draw on my own culture and history, and, you know, what's going on in the world a lot, for even simple styling, and then big shows as well. So.
Do you surprise your clients when you say what you can offer? Because they're like, I want this, and you're like, well, how about this? And it just keeps unraveling. Is that kind of how it happens?
Well, that was one of my biggest incentives when I was studying. Like, I did 2 years of costume, and then I just was like, I need to know how to create all the visions. And then I did another 2 years of study and did fashion, and I was in fashion for a long time, and then kept coming back to theatre. But I've combined, it's almost like engineering. I can design anything into an outfit. But I was that obsessed when I was like 20 and 21. I wasn't happy with just generic. I wasn't happy with like, oh, I'm just gonna copy what like the famous people are wearing. Although I was always like, you know, deciphering it and pulling it to pieces, and in love with like amazing designers, you know.
Yeah.
Like Vivienne Westwood, who just passed away, she's exceptional. She was like a huge political fashion designer. She put corsets on the street and bondage wear for the first time
Wow.
back in the 80s.
Wow.
We have a lot to thank her for.
Wow. So a lot of your idols and mentors pushed edges in a way, the people that you look up to. Is that
Yeah.
safe to say?
Well, one of my teachers, she would always say to me, look, if you want to be inspired by a fashion designer, that's fine, but what you need to do is like look deeply into their inspiration, and then you will know what story they're telling. And so then I really like, that just made sense to me.
So what's your edge?
What's my edge?
Yeah. What's the
my
biggest edge that
My
you...
edge changes.
I want to know, what's the biggest edge that you have pushed or fallen off and you're like, wow, I can't believe I either pulled that off or that was so wild that...
Yeah, okay.
Is there something that sticks out?
So after uni, I went straight into like Australian contemporary theatre. I was working on a lot of amazing Indigenous contemporary plays. It was kind of primal, and I was so young, and I just got such a good education in life from that. And after that, I got a phone call to work at the National Institute of Circus. So then once I became a circus costume designer, and I still do that. But what I get from the circus is that edge, because it's the concepts, it's working without words. It's working to, this physical language and music.
Wow, incredible.
And light, and what we can say on that level it's mind-blowing. So you just,
That's amazing. But also practicality. They're doing circus. Like, they
but
need
that's
to
where
be...
all of that engineering that
Exactly.
I did in the beginning really helps, because I can
Exactly.
understand what materials to use when some dude's wrapping himself in a rope and falling like 8 meters, and
Don't
it's
want
going
to
to
give them a wedgie. You don't want to give them a wedgie.
Oh no, they have to get the wedgies.
So that kind of brings me to my next question. What are some of the elements of costume design that you think just people go over people's heads, that they just undervalue, or, your everyday person on the street?
Oh, look, everyday people, I don't think they even realise that it's a job, or yeah.
But it's in every corner. It's in media, costume, cinema, theatre, events. It's everywhere.
I know. I think most people think that like the elves and the shoemakers create everything overnight magically. It's so much hard work. It's long hours. It's, designing. It's collaborating. It's listening to other people's ideas. It's having a great idea, getting money for the idea, and then the whole project is falling apart, and being okay with that. Then it's, if you do, if it is happening and it's a major production, it's bringing in people that can just commit and work and cut and sew and fit and alter and fix, and
having team members that you get along with as well.
Oh yeah, under pressure. Yeah. So
wow. So there's lots of elements that people...
Lots of elements, but I mean, something I'm doing here a lot during these months and this kind of part of the year is teaching and training teenagers and taking kids on the spectrum and just, all types really, because I think in costume and fashion, I believe there's a place for everybody. Everybody that leans into this visual world or theatrical world, there's a place for them, because if they're ideas, then they're designers. If they're not ideas, they can be so technically driven, they're amazing at sewing or cutting, or...
It's incredible.
I even say, just come. If you can hand sew, if you can use a hot glue gun,
that's enough.
There's a place for you, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Because some people they want to express themselves. So there's lots of ways. Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about, this is a big question, but just a little bit, because I'm so naive to the whole thing and I'm genuinely curious, but about the history of costume design, because I know that, ancient Greece and masks and theatre and things, but is there some other monumental times, or where does it originate from, this whole idea of dressing oneself up to...
It's the storytelling.
Yeah.
It's the storytelling. So it's as old as time, basically. It's like picking up a book and you know, creating a play out of 4 people. It's that. It's like it would have been done in homes and villages and but there's a lot of, and it's in all traditions.
Yeah.
Like tribal traditions, contemporary traditions.
Everywhere you look.
It is. And the costuming is about character. So it's
Yeah.
taking on the character, because in those times and these times we need that. We need to change ourselves into something else. So.
It's very interesting. When you see people put your costumes on, what do you notice happens to them? Like, is there an archetype that comes out at times, or like,
These
tell me
days it
experience.
feels like sequin therapy.
Tell me about it.
Well, I'm housing a collection of around like 300 outfits. A lot of them are used for a huge 80s project that I do in Brisbane called the Common People Dance Project. And so when I'm styling people in them, it's almost like I'm watching this general person, non-performer type, see themselves for the very first time, and almost like self-acceptance happens. But I still say the same thing to them, like, how far can we take this? And generally they tell me, or
But just, you know,
how does it feel for me to
well,
see
just
them?
in comparison, you know, for an everyday person, which I am,
Yeah.
that's got no idea about costumes, you know, I'm one of those people that's, I even have an aversion to it because of the attention that it brings,
Yeah.
right? You know, so there's that element, but there's also, similar to sort of a mask, you put it on and it's drawing this personality or something out, you know. Have you seen that
Yeah.
often?
Yeah, always.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
I see it just as character. I feel like
Character.
we all have the potential. We have a few different characters. We have a few different selves. I feel like that world, that's very much part of who I am. I'm very changeable. There's a lot of butterflying going on.
Yeah.
It's like,
That's
but most
amazing.
people have that in them, and maybe they don't get to express it
Yeah.
as much as like the fashion obsessed.
Yes. Amazing. Tell me about your process. Do you find that this, like when you're there, when you're sewing, when you're designing, when you're constructing, does it get you into a flow state? Is it something that's quite meditative for you? Or is it
I'd
stressful?
say that I'm a hyper-focused
Okay.
kind of ADD type of lady, and I love a challenge. I love taking on production work and all the processes within it. And it's quite perfect for me because I have such a deep visionary type of mind, and I see all of my designs in my brain before I illustrate them.
Wow, amazing.
They just come to me, but based on all the inspiration and collaborating, and then I just knot them out onto paper. Then I get deep into the textiles, and I'm a great buyer. Like, I've always been a really awesome money spending buyer. That's been a job of mine on other people's projects. And that's like buying, fabric sourcing, op shopping. That's a huge part of what I do.
But when you're in that state, you know, and you've got the visions and you're creating, surely there's roadblocks. Like, what are those creative roadblocks that you...
Time.
And
as a busy mum.
yeah, but you never feel stumped on something.
No, I just wish I had more time. Like, I wish I could, you know, my friends know that if I've got a big job on, I'm working here at night, and I'll even call on them for help. Yes. You know, I know how to outsource as well. That's like been a big time management thing. But flow state, but also it feels like hyper focusing. I definitely just like drop into this like incredible creative zone where I just like, and I don't leave it until it's like done.
It's amazing. And you've gotten to this place where your craftsmanship is so efficient that any idea can be actualized. It seems like. That's incredible.
I can cut without patterns.
Yeah.
I can just go with a pair of scissors and...
Wow. Just off you go. So who would be your ultimate collaboration?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think about that, especially after like pandemic times, because I had a lot of different visions before COVID times. I was about to do a lot of work. It was all planned, and like everybody it just disappeared, especially in the art sector. And during that time, I've done a lot of revisioning on where I'd like to take my work, and I'd love to work overseas again and do something collaborative over there.
But are we talking film, Broadway, theatre, or all of it? All of it. Like, do you have a preference?
Yeah, I think I love theatre. Theatre's a deep love of mine. Not really film. Film's very once all the like vision work is done, it's just like fast money. There's no personal connection unless it's like a small little team. But I think probably like one of my biggest loves is music. Yeah. And I think living in Bello, I've been working like for the 9 years, I've been working in Brisbane doing a lot of dance and events, and I've been in that world and I love that world and I'll continue to stay there. But recently I've been styling some bands again and I'm like, oh my God, so I'd love to, and that could be film. So I've done some incredible film clips, and I think just exploring work with musicians. So whether that's live music or film, photographic, doing some edgy fashion would be incredible. Maybe some really hectic wearable art. I'm hoping to visit New Zealand later in the year. And,
what is wearable art?
Wearable art.
Is that something different from a costume? What do we?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and it's something new for me. It's not something like I have ideas, but I don't. I've not participated in wearable art, and technically, it's just like next level. It's like making couture, which is like made to measure wear, which is what I know how to cut and create. But it's making stuff out of just like
anything,
strange materials,
right?
Like anything.
Okay, so you could just get a bin off the side of the road and make it into. Is that what we're talking here, or it always has to be material?
You need many bins.
Many bins.
That's the thing about it. I think you're collecting one really like strange material, and are you cutting shapes out of it and creating armor, headwear. And it's really amazing. But there's a world of wearable art. It's a competition. It's a huge show. A lot of really talented designers found there. Also, there's a lot of prize money. I'm just interested to see how that even runs. We don't have anything like that in Australia.
Maybe you can bring in Bello.
I intend to create a Bello fashion, not fashion week, but something
runway,
like
Bello runway.
I do. I want to do something like that here. I think we need it.
Well, that brings me to my last and final points, which is your studio space, which you used to work in, has now become a hub, which you've opened up to the public, which I'm so excited about because it feels like a little slice of New York or something, which is perfect. You know, you're having all sorts of things here. I remember you talking about a unique Japanese dance called
Buto.
Like, can you please explain what that is?
Well, my friend Mon, she's a Buto dancer.
Yeah.
And it's not a dance form that I do, but I'm keen to have her teach or even showcase her. I'm going to put this out there. We talk about her having a one-woman show, or, you know, perhaps doing like a theatre experience here that's very much like something we would have done in Melbourne, where, you know, you have Buto dancers in the window. It's kind of hectic, it's ugly dance, it's incredible to watch.
With Japanese roots.
Yeah.
And it's not about looking pretty.
Oh, no.
There's grimaces and
They're screaming.
Yeah. Wow. But that's the thing, the space that you've opened up. Like, what else is going to be happening in here? Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'm sharing with an artist, Christy Holding. So she's going to be doing visual art and painting and clay nights. I'm opening it up to private creative experiences. So I am having a sexy sketch night, which is male burlesque drawing for a hen's night.
Amazing.
and we dress up in costumes. So that's going to be really fun.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and I've done burlesque, life drawing here. That was really good too. So I think whatever I'm hosting, it's got to be really contemporary. And
what would you like to see in here that you haven't had someone come forward with yet?
Well, there's ideas brewing, but definitely small theatre performances and clowning, almost entering from the back door, coming around. Small, closed-in theatre that's right up in your face, that kind of thing. Also, I had a really great idea today to, if I can, get some support around offering some young artists the space for free 1 day a week to jam, create their art, make their, edit their film. I don't know, but just to support
have
young
that
artists.
space.
Because I think about what would have been amazing for me as a young artist. I was always working out of a shed or nothing.
And creativity has to be nurtured.
It's so good to get support from the community. So I thought that could be really wild actually. Exhibitions of work, so my students to exhibit their work. What else? And for a long time I've been dreaming up a Britney Spears toxic flash mob of 50 women, all open, all the way down the side of the building, out the front, probably midday on a Saturday, all dressed in blue. I just feel like there's a lot we can say with this toxic song. I just feel like there's a lot we need to
I love it. Just
maybe in blue lace masks with ponies out the side and everything blue that you're sitting in front of can be part of it.
And everyone on the street looks up and goes, "What's happening up there?" I love it. I can see it.
More stuff like that. I wouldn't mind. Yeah.
That's cool.
And I'm an inclusive space, so just opening up, probably doing an open day to open it up to all the different groups in town. Yeah.
So what else do you think in Bellingen could happen aside from your space? What do you crave more of happening in Bello, just in general in terms of the arts and experiences like that?
Fun for young people.
Yeah, right.
Fun, immersive experiences, big, wild art exhibitions that you can touch and feel, music genres that are different to, what's expected. So, Aussie hip hop, more First Nations presented across the board. Deep. We could go so deep into that, and I feel like all our culture here needs that.
Do you feel like the people are just not here for that, or people are just lacking the vision, or is it a mix of both?
I think they lack the vision. I think we get comfortable in what we think we want.
Yeah.
And sometimes we just need to get our representatives and our council and just people that live here, just get them to just back new ideas and back the arts. Yeah. Just really back the arts, because I just think they don't realise what life would be like if there was less art than what there is here.
Yes.
Okay, but if we could just amplify that and let people tell their stories, because the more confronting and ugly beautiful the stories, the more we evolve as people. And I would love to see that for young people and teenagers, and it's important. I feel like I remember a lot of the first plays I got to see and I got to work on, and short films. My friends and I, we were making films when we were teenagers and creating plays and going to arts festivals and just all of that. It's really important because it's diverse and young people need to just tap into that. So I try and bring it here.
Oh, you bring it.
I bring it. But it could be done in a lot of different ways. So
I think people are just lacking the vision to completion. There's a yearning there, but it's what does this actually look like?
Oh, I mean, some of my friends and I, have this amazing balcony just out here, and so many nights we've sat out there and we've like had the vision of, you know, lighting Bellingen up from here, having performances out here, or a tight wire from my balcony to the Fed.
Wow.
I'm like, I know those people.
Yeah.
If we can just rig this.
So why can't this happen?
Money.
Yeah, but like the councils, there's a lot of grants. There's a lot of grants, you know. You just need a team of people and a grant writer.
I might have told the guy at
Yeah.
the Fed. I can't remember. I don't know what he said. But it's just, you know, things like, you know, huge, incredible visual light displays and movies projected onto buildings. And
So it's a lack of money within council as well then, I guess. No, not necessarily?
I'm not sure. I think we just, yeah. I mean, we're coming out of a time where like everything was killed. So I still have faith.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that through like opening my space up to other creatives, that we just get into that flow of coming together regularly. Yeah. Let's just like get some wild ideas out there. Like, you know, we don't have to think regionally in that slow vibe way. We can actually
be radical.
Well, we need to be radical.
Yeah.
We absolutely need to be radical. Like, we have to grow as humans.
Yeah.
We can't just, you know, and there's a lot going on in the world. I think that like art is the way to sometimes express how that makes us all feel instead of holding it on. And, you know, art, fashion, everything, it helps mental health, you know.
I feel like that's a issue across Australia, though, maybe just in comparison to other countries. They don't realise the importance of art.
We put a lot into sport.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know, you know, if I can talk about this now, but just like even through COVID, it's like, oh, you know, why could we go to the AFL? But all the art was like, no.
Exactly.
You might breathe on each other or spit and dance.
Yeah, you can't go
can't
look at
dance.
it. Yeah.
You can't dance, but you can watch the footy.
Yeah. I know.
You couldn't pay me to watch the footy. I've done that. But I want to dance, you know, so, and we all need to. I did get a really great grant from the council just after COVID, and it was for a micro mini weekend festival of everything 80s, that's what it was called. So I had money to bring Nerida Waters, who I work with up in Brisbane, on our big 80s BrisFest dance spectacular, which involves 200 people. We brought her here. She did a day of dancing. I got 50 people from Bello just coming and learning this amazing choreography to Take On Me.
Wow.
Do you know that song?
Yeah. Take on.
But we had all ages.
Yeah.
We had everybody.
Oh,
it was great.
incredible.
And I also had money from that grant. We put on 80s movies at the video store, and that kind of like, I'm a big supporter of Bellingen Video.
Yes, going
Keeping
strong.
that
We
alive.
love you, Rod.
Yeah, we just want to keep that alive.
Yeah.
And I think, having gratitude for Rod and putting film money into where he needs it to go. So maybe some like film nights and collaboration.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So.
Well, you're a huge asset to this community, and I can't wait to see what you do. And it's been such a pleasure to chat with you. I really enjoyed sitting down amongst all your amazing creations.
I love you.
Yeah, I love you too. Thanks, hon.